I remember when they first invented Sonic.EXE.
I always hated it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I've never been a fan of this series character. I'm not sure what to classify it as, but to me the most popular versions of it have always come off as a competition to see who can tear apart Tails the Fox in the most shocking manner. Seriously, can we give him a break? I just find most of it to be annoying, especially after Friday Night Funkin' of all things revived it. With their alleged godly nature, this vitriol from my end was bound to attract the attention of one of these haggard hogs. Today, when I was checking the mail, I spotted a suspicious disc waiting for me. Wait, not that one. Unless... Staring at that label, all I could think was... Does he think they still make PCs with disk drives? Alright, I'll be honest with you. I haven't despised every single iteration of Sonic.EXE I've come across. I'm semi-okay with the one most people know. The one with the people trapped inside the game as Sonic characters? Alan as Tails and the Amy one. And, okay, well, I haven't interacted much with it. I also really enjoyed Needle Mouse VHS, which focused on the spirit of a college girl trapped within a beta Sonic 1 disc after the Sega headquarters were built over her burial site, and her dragging her old friends into the world with her, making them the other main characters as a form of revenge. The creator took it down, I'm pretty sure due to its overwhelming popularity as one of their earlier projects. I don't blame them. I'm pretty sure there are re-uploads I'd recommend checking out. Sure, these two are widely considered good, but they're not games. For a character with the shorthand for executable file in his name, Sonic.EXE has much more of a presence in art, stories, wikis, and even entire music albums than he does in actual playable video games. And I am not counting or dealing with anything on Roblox. I mean standalone experiences. Ones that try to be what may have been on the mysterious disc featured in the original creepypasta, or some other type of malicious program. So today I'm diving into Game Jolt, Itch, and wherever else, curious if I can find anything that really piques my interest. There has to be something, right? And just as a heads up, I'm gonna call all these guys EXE unless it's like really obvious what their name is. Like Sonic.EYX. I was there when this dark magic was written. I remember playing this one back in college, and it genuinely unsettling me. It doesn't help that my work laptop or PC has always been in the same room as I sleep in, even now. Makes me not want to turn my back to it if I've played something spooky before bed. It might be one of the bigger names on this list, namely because Markiplier got a hold of it for some reason. This game also goes by Sonic Editable ROM, since EYX is just the name of the entity inside, I think. It was created by Kawa161 for the first Luigi Kid EXE challenge, Luigi Kid being a YouTuber who is known for playing this sort of thing. The original page has been removed from Game Jolt, so it was tricky to find its upload date, but according to the new one, it was posted on March 13th, 2022. Sonic Editable ROM is a demo meant to lead into further chapters, which never happened as the game is currently being remade as SonicEdit.ROM. For consistency's sake, I won't be looking into that much. However, from what has been posted and data mined, it's looking pretty interesting so far. Reminding me of that 1UP virus stuff going around on Twitter right now. Outside of that info, stuff about this first game is unorganized at best and deleted at worst. So let's just get to playing it. When booting the game, you're met with a black screen, coupled with breathing sounds. And actually, that's not a black screen. Raise the brightness enough and you'll see somebody looking back at you. Okay, well, why is he kinda cute though? Like his little floppy ear? He's satisfied eventually and lets the game boot normally for a bit. However, soon after, he's hijacking it again, and someone, I assume not him, urges me to delete the ROM immediately and save myself before it's too late. My name is on the bar up there, by the way. Obviously, I'm not gonna listen, so when my time does run out, EYX here eyes me up as the voice tells me to run. Can I say for a second, why do EXE games tell you to run? Like, do I run away from my PC? Am I supposed to just let this guy wreak havoc in my unoccupied bedroom? No thanks. Gameplay starts off in Green Hill as per usual, with Tails, who was never in Sonic 1. yet is always here. I'm gonna complain for a second before stuff gets bad. I hate the way this game uses the front parallax layer. This is incredibly jarring. It's moving way too fast compared to you and seems determined to stay in your face the entire time. I'm harping on it this much because they do this for like every platforming segment in the game, even the creepy ones, and it takes me out of it a bit. Besides that, this part plays normal except for a couple brief bouts of static. I encounter Sonic at the end, who doesn't look good at first but fixes himself up and runs off to the left. Going right has me get pushed down by what doesn't even seem to be the same EXE, the fur color's not the same. But there's no other option but to follow the other one.
Oh look! An arrow! Aren't these game designers wonderful?
It didn't take me too long at all to get up the wall, no. But as soon as I do, there's a flash of a disfigured Tails who begs me not to go back, leaving the screen darkened before Sonic shows a message asking me to meet him at the beginning. That leaves Tails without any eyes on either of his sprites and causes the music to become unstable. One last message from the disfigured Tails before we encounter Sonic in the Black Void and the game violently freezes. It does not take long for another scene to pop up, this time with Knuckles. This is interesting because he's talking directly to us, the player. And I know, big deal, EXE games do that, but I mean he's talking to every player. As in people who like EXE stuff. He asks why people love to see him and the others suffer, and berates you for being a sick individual for playing this. As he gets angrier, his eyes bleed more and more, receding into his skull as the window moves around the screen, shaking violently until the following message appears. Well, that's probably because my dad's been messing with it a lot lately. You and me both, buddy. Reopening the game, get ready for me to say that a lot in this video, EYX decides we ought to try something different. By that, he means a different art style, and an odd choice of character. Ray the Flying Squirrel is being chased by EYX, begging in the HUD for him to stop. A neat detail I noticed here is that, evidenced by the almost 9-minute timer, Ray has been running for a while by the time we've started watching. Unfortunately for him, that doesn't change much, and when, can I just call him EYX for short, catches him, there's a pretty neat little graphical scare before Ray is presumably eliminated with a loud scream. I can't really tell what exactly happened though. The game reboots and, for a bit, talks to me directly through the window title about how I caused that to happen. EYX will be watching me from now on. Oh cool, well, I hope it remembers to subscribe. The next scene is peaceful, revealing EYX standing on a cliff overlooking a body of water. I bet he's plotting his next… oh no, that's normal Sonic. That's EYX. Interesting, they're separate here. Crystal Lake Zone is a full custom Sonic level, and nothing is strange about it. No blood, no death things, it's quite standard, and it being here adds a nice example of how the game might normally be without some weird entity messing with it. My one gripe with it, though, is the actual level design. It's not very interesting. It consists of long sections of holding right, and sometimes there are paths of suspended platforming or repetitive hangbar jumping over a pit that doesn't even matter because there's just a spring down there you can use to skip it. Enemies are randomly placed, my least favorite being after this section that reverts Sonic out of a ball back to running on foot just to be hit. That's only about 2 minutes of level. Not too far in, there's a bit of static that deletes the platform Sonic is running on, dropping him into the water below. And you know how Sonic is with water. Wow, and we're back. The platforms stay gone, but there's a spring to cross over with, just to get antagonized again shortly after, which gives EYX the opportunity to chat with me again. He dangles Sonic in front of me and starts fiddling with the window as the corrupted forms of Tails, Knuckles, and Ray, maybe, fade in behind him. And then he starts trying to activate my webcam, which repeatedly declines him as he gets more and more desperate for it to work. Oh, what a hissy fit. Sonic is then tossed back into the zone, with the game in forced full screen mode. That can only mean good things. A few weird things happen, but otherwise I'm still uninterrupted until I get to this point, where Sonic snaps to look at me, and stays that way for a long while after the camera zooms in. Just me, or does he look a bit sus? Oh no, he lost his balance. He fell off. Did it get you? Ah, he really did lose his balance. Well, it's no sweat, the goalpost is right here. That's Act 1 down, time for Act 2. And a cutscene. Blink and you'll miss it. But whoa, looks like EXE is here to be a hero instead. And there goes Eggman, very quickly morphing into some kind of stretched out, long-mouthed version of himself. You know, I set this car as my background to do a joke like it was gonna hit me after the game closed, but I don't feel like it anymore. So just a look into my twisted mind. Reopening after that, we're back as Tails, who I guess survived the first scene, but looks like he only has one tail now and can't do much else besides walk. I think in this scene he's supposed to be searching for Ray, who is obviously missing, and the dark cave has got him pretty nervous. Nervousness that is warranted when he comes across what's left of Ray and meets just as terrible of a fate. Oh, hi Amy. Coming soon, huh? Nah. That's it for Sonic.EYX. There was not any more coming soon. EYX. How shall I rate it? I appreciate that it's trying something new and not using overdone ideas like Hill Zone. My interpretation of the story is that this game has a malicious entity in it that's only doing all this and hurting everybody because we're playing. If we weren't playing, then obviously none of these events would have happened and maybe the world would have gone on unaffected. And honestly, that is a fine enough story. I like it. However, it's a bit disjointed in how it presents that. The smooth Sonic Worlds controls don't mesh that well with the blocky level design and irritating foreground parallax layer, and things don't feel like they connect. I don't know why Knuckles is suddenly speaking to me, or why he is bleeding, nor do I know why I'm playing as Sonic now, or why Ray is spelunking today. It's less a cohesive plot than it is a showcase of scenes. They could make sense eventually, but for now they don't. So while it's not badly made, I have trouble giving it more than a 7.5 out of 10. There's too much water. Do let me know when that new version comes out, though. Next up, we've got Sonic.EXE One More Time. I think the uploads for this one are a bit funny. The way these are set up makes it look like EXE published the game, then realized he messed something up and was a bit embarrassed to have to post a fixed version. This game was created by Mr. Pixel Productions and is about 4 years old. Right off the bat, the pixel art on this page is damn impressive, even if it's a bit morbid. It turns out there's a newer version of this game, but with the art entirely revamped. So never mind on the 4-year-old version, I want to play repixeled. Windows absolutely hated this game. When I tried to extract it, Windows straight up deleted it after claiming it was a severely dangerous Trojan called Vigorf.A. That sounds like a wizard name. Maybe Vigorf.A is a new EXE that lives in Hilltop Zone. Maybe he has a hedgehog ale made fresh on the mountain by him and his army of little clones. Maybe they brew it and it's good and it's delicious and it's made of flickies that they collect from the dust hill in the wood zone. Coming soon to a Mirage Saloon near you, except it won't because it's secret! Okay, I'll stop. Vigorf.A is not a real Trojan, by the way. And to all other Click Team developers, you can prevent this from happening to your games by checking this little box here in your project settings to export your DLLs separately from your main EXE so that you can send the project as a folder instead of a single file. Thank me later. On starting the game, whatever EXE this is has a little speech for me, one that's entirely voice acted, which took me by surprise.
You shouldn't be afraid. I'm here to help.
I couldn't place what he was reminding me of until way later, but he sounded kinda goofy to me.
So you're Dusky.
He sounds like Salvage from Frick Bears 3 a bit, after his little speech.
One more time.
He closes the game. I didn't know for sure if this game was gonna be one of those, so I hadn't really cleaned my workspace at all. Oh, that's so embarrassing. Little warning before we go further. This is probably the nastiest game on the list. If you're not big on flesh, maybe skip to the next chapter in the video. Reopening it, I can get to the classic 3-character screen where Tails is very opposed to being selected. Unfortunately for him, he's the only available option, so up he goes. Even in the stage we start in, which is Green Hill again, he always begging me to stop. As the heartless monster I am, we push forward regardless. Eventually, Tails stops putting in effort when flying, and then stops allowing me to roll or spin dash, finally stopping me from even jumping, as if he's trying to make it harder for me to continue. At the end of the stage, the flowers have begun to wilt around a sign with EXE's face on it. The stage blacks out as soon as that makes it on screen, being replaced with a greeting from him, leading into Hill Zone Act 2, which is covered in dead creatures as in EXE tradition. Tails is back to letting me use his entire moveset, but looks significantly more upset doing so. Besides the visuals, this bit plays pretty standard up until the end when we find EXE again. He doesn't waste any time and goes right for the obvious play of tearing out Tails' eye? Well, I can appreciate they've got unique voice acting for Tails instead of that awful generic scream all these games used to use. Excuse me? But I was assuming EXE would go for one of his tails, those being his most powerful assets. When Tails lands after this, he is now in Hell Zone. The HUD assets have changed to read Your New Home, and the place certainly isn't inviting. This is probably my least favorite part of the game. Not because of the theming, no. So, the gimmick here is that you start with 100 rings. They slowly drain, and if you run out, you lose a life. There are a bunch of hazards around that can also hurt you, such as these angler plants with ring bait, blue plants that spear you, and red tentacles that hold you for a bit. The pixel art here is trying way too hard. It's too busy, and everything blends together, making it difficult to see the hazards before you take damage, especially when you're going fast, which is encouraged because you're on a timer. Like, come on, that completely blends into the background. As the amount gets lower, more things start to antagonize you. Clone EXEs will fly at you and cause unavoidable damage. Freaky EXE in the background will get more and more visible. When they're really low, a black vignette will appear and make it hard to see where you're going. A different freaky EXE will start flashing on screen. All this while the pixel art here was already extremely busy and muddy, so now you're basically blind and you feel completely helpless while you get juggled by everything. It sells the hopelessness that I imagine you're supposed to feel, but I couldn't help being annoyed with it, given that it still wants you to beat it. A friend of mine who actually likes this stuff said this EXE is supposed to have finished this game by making assets of its own. Okay, that's cool lore, I guess, but I still don't think it should mean that you shouldn't be able to parse any details. Like look at this ring monitor. Could you tell that was a ring monitor? That sprite is so muddy. This was where I lost all my lives. I didn't get further than this. It was mostly due to me not noticing at first that my rings were draining, so I wasn't moving with much urgency or bothering to collect rings that much. The game proceeded to play what might be one of the most brutal death animations I've seen in a while. I can admit it's incredibly well made, but I think it will be one of the things I'll let you find for yourself. All this effort for an animation that only plays in this one act. At the end of this act, Tails gets lit on fire, turning his fur black, making this animation not fit anymore. So this scene won't play after you beat it. Talk about polish! After this, Knuckles was the only playable option. He doesn't look as worried as Tails, but he's not infallible. He starts off in Scrap Brain Zone, strangely, which had a bit of a hiccup at the beginning that instantly killed me, but then it was fine. It doesn't take long for EXE to appear and grab Knuckles, taunting him by telling him to be patient before closing the game. I reopened it assuming that it was leading to something else, but I got quite mad when I found out it had wiped my save, leaving me to replay Tails' segment again. I assumed it was a bug because of the earlier jankiness with the instant death in Scrap Brain, and the fact that Tails' level played his death cutscene every time I died rather than just on a game over, which I looked into and found out was unintended behavior. I didn't know at the time, but that scene with Knuckles is the intended ending. This is just a demo, but it doesn't say that anywhere, which is a bit annoying. The game is unfinished. I actually got quite a bit further with Tails on my replay though, so it was not a useless endeavor. Playing through Hell Zone a bit more wisely, although not without some frustration, I reach a sign with an eyeless Tails, which EXE throws me away from, then grabs. Okay, you got it. Thankfully there isn't any real platforming you have to do during this, just focus on keeping up momentum. I really should have done another spin dash at the end, but I still narrowly cleared it just in time for Tails to be barbecued like I mentioned earlier. You gotta commend his durability. Ooh, hide and seek. This is my new place of death. Never got past this. The objective is self-explanatory, but there's some stuff to keep in mind. The HUD's hide timer will alert you to when EXE is about to come out to look for you, and you have to be hiding before it hits 0. If you aren't, it doesn't matter if you get behind something after, you're screwed. You'll also be automatically found if you take a hit while you have no rings. Acceptable hiding spots are behind rock piles, these mouth trees, or these spiky plants. In my gameplay, you'll see me ignore the last two, and that's because I wrongly assumed they didn't work as hiding spots. Probably could have cleared this if I knew that, but without a save feature, I don't feel like playing Hellzone again. Throughout the level, there will be various hazards that start screaming when you get near them, such as an animal stuck in this badnik or this creature that hangs from trees. As long as they keep going, they'll make your timer decrease faster, so you have to destroy them as soon as possible. Thankfully, they don't alert EXE if he comes out while they're doing it. It's just a bit grating to have to listen to them while you wait for him to leave. I stopped right here when my spin dash seemed to stop giving me enough momentum to clear a slope in time. But there isn't too much more if I grab the ending from Scary Games at 3 AM. Tails gets kicked off a cliff at the end, given a speech about the ending of the game, and then sent to Abandoned Zone, where you are then constantly pursued as a row of EXEs laughs in the background. The vignette returns to make it hard to see again, but considering your lack of a spin dash here, for once this game is more forgiving. Except when you automatically lose when your pursuer's bored of you, bringing Tails' torment to a real end as he is, Sentinel primed. I'm less unsettled by that than I am this guy's gross little tail. Okay, fuck, sorry, fine, it's unique. Something I didn't initially realize was this game actually ties into the popular EXE story version thing I mentioned earlier, with the vessels. If you type the phrase Sonic.EXE help on the title screen, you will get to play a secret level, Hollow Valley, as Alan, who is not looking so good. There aren't any hazards, everything's destroyed, it's a clear run to the end until Alan stops at the goal, sits, and has a bit to say. I'm unsure if this stage implies that the Tails we played as earlier was actually Alan, or if they are separate. I guess there's more evidence for the former since their ending fur color matches. But other than that, there isn't more content here. I'd say this is the best one so far, based on the effort put into all the art and the unique levels compared to what you usually get from these games. Putting my disdain for the theme aside, I would give it a 9 out of 10. On the topic of Alan, let's have a look at Sonic PC Legacy next. This is very openly based on the Vessels story, an original Sonic PC port game released in 2020 and was created by the same people as the story itself, namely John Kuhn and Joe Doughboy. However, PC Legacy is an overhauled version of this demo by Nicofinity, which improves the accuracy of the gameplay and adds more content. I did play that a long time ago, I remember, but playing it now it got a bit confused trying to do something file-related after I died and ended up making several folders, each only containing this single image of my 2024 plushie. I'm sorry, bud, they're not being sold anymore. The Legacy version starts without the traditional title screen, using an animated intro. Oh, yes, thanks for taking that back. I didn't want it. Next time, try a USB. Then, for a while, it's normal Sonic, except for Tails being in Green Hill for the 3rd time. Soon enough, the game says hello, specifically to me, so let me blur that, and things start going wrong. Although, compared to earlier, this is just mild littering. Eventually, you find Sonic, who Tails initially is excited to see, before seeming to change his mind before walking closer. Sonic then reveals his blood-red eyes to a somewhat disinterested Tails. You're then sent to a Flaming Angel Island, with Tails now in tears, running before EXE proposes a game. A game that is more than likely going to kill you at least once since you don't receive any warning before EXE starts pursuing you. You've got to start this level holding right or you're not getting anywhere. After a brief cutscene that surprisingly does not go the bloody route, opting for some unsettling freeze frames instead, which I honestly find way creepier, the game closes, and when opened again, does something similar with the title screen. Again, I like this way more than all the screen tearing. Such simple graphics are easier to remember and stick around longer in your head to scare you later. But in just a second, the meat cubes are back for a platforming level in which we're revealed to have been playing as Alan again. This time, he's lacking his tails and ability to fly, so you must platform as normal. As long as you're careful, it's not too bad. Beware of the pit of slapping hands, or you will encounter the dreaded Wiggly Sonic. At the end of Meat World, you find a door. Inside of it waits who I'm pretty sure is the cream vessel. She'll speak automatically when approached. She mentions that she's waiting for someone that I'm not, and informs me that I'm pretty much screwed just being here. Passing her by, there's a weird plant field to the right where Alan gets stopped with a yelp before he's tackled by a little pink thing that tells me to get out. Which I have a bit of trouble with, considering the game is hiding my mouse cursor, so it takes me a minute and some Windows key presses to actually click on the OK button, which closes the game. Reopening it spawns Alan in a similar environment to before, but before I can do anything, he addresses me personally and says he doesn't need my interference for this level. If you leave him alone, he will indeed do the platforming on his own. However, you can ignore him and take control anyway. Either way, he stops at this door, cause I guess he doesn't know how to open those. It leads into a monochrome platforming segment that has some red rings that trigger dialogue I assume is from EXE. Then the door at the end of that leads to instant death again. Can this game please stop that? Come on! When I hold right on spawning in and am met with a death just as quickly.
Cool. Can you give me a sec?
Alan, we are so fucked.
Sure enough, this segment is asking you to do platforming over bottomless pits at a high rate of speed while a very fast enemy is constantly on your tail. To be more specific about why this is bad, the movement in Sonic games has you accelerate slowly. Yet, you have to slow yourself to land on these platforms, which does not leave you enough time to get moving again before you are caught. If you decide to get reckless with it and just go full speed, the camera moves with your jumps and makes it impossible to see where you're gonna land until it's too late. The level is built like you're meant to have a psychic feeling of where everything is below you to play it perfect. The reason I don't keep trying this level is because when you lose all your lives, you have to reopen it and do the previous 2 levels again, complete with the cutscene, which is like, And also this area uses Susie's threat theme from Deltarune, which is making it difficult for me to take it seriously. But 2 seconds is all you get because I can already feel Sebastian Wolf's hot breath on my neck. Let me find the rest of this game on the World Wide Web. After that chase, in another monochrome environment, EXE speaks to me again to ask why I'm still pushing Alan forward. Hey man, parasocial much? The door after that leads to a castle. Dare I say this is actually pretty neat. I like that fountain set piece that activates as you pass, and the detail on Alan's missing tails bleeding as he strains to push this block. And this is how to do front layer parallax. Don't have too much and have it out of the way of the path. There's a bit of tricky platforming here, though, that only gets worse in the second half when you start to be chased by statues while doing it. It's not nearly as long as before, though, so honestly, unless you only had 1 life to spare, not that bad. On the castle rooftop, we are greeted with the final cutscene. EXE is disappointed we didn't like his game, and takes it out on Alan, pinning him underneath a black and white image of his human face, before I think he speaks through him to say what's got to be the corniest thing I'm gonna hear today. Really? You're gonna eat my soul? Oh, get in line. I play horror games for a living. You're not the first to try. The game ends here with an admittedly unsettling final scare and crash, but there are some things I didn't find that Sunfire here did. In the beginning, if you head left instead of right in Green Hill, you can escape into a cave system where EXE isn't too pleased. You can't get far until he puts a stop to that, which appears to fast-track you to part 2 of the game, skipping Hill and Angel Island entirely. Additionally, in the dying version of Green Hill, if you take too long to get to him, EXE will come to you instead. Honestly, PC Legacy started strong and kinda got iffy as I went. When it was simply trying to focus on build-up, I was liking it. The simple scares, the lowly environments, those were good. And I like that it doesn't rely on gory deaths to get the scares across and goes for more software gore. But its difficulty can be artificial. Like, come on with this. Come on with that checkpoint. This is the only checkpoint. So for example, if you die here in the castle, guess what you've gotta do again? It would genuinely be great if there were at least 1 more checkpoint with what it expects you to be able to do with so little warning. That way we could properly enjoy the atmosphere being set up without worrying about some sudden one-hit kill hazard coming to send us all the way back into the intro cutscene. Which, mind you, isn't nearly as interesting the 4th time around. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. This one is simple. Very simple. Honestly, I probably wouldn't have even included it if it hadn't been the only one of these games to make me too anxious to sleep. And the story of that is totally ridiculous too. This is a small creation by the same person who made PC Legacy, Nicofinity. I saw it suggested when downloading that, and it looked like a fun surprise given I had no idea what it was gonna be, besides that it was gonna have flashing lights in it. I'm not sure that's how I was expected to have found this. The description talks like I should already know what I'm in for, but it had been a while since I had seen El Pendrive Azul, so I can see the face you're making already. By the name of the story alone, if you've read it, you'll know the gist. The game comes with a little readme file. I'm just going to get this over with. An old friend of mine passed away due to cardiac arrest, caused by an apparent epilepsy attack. We were huge Sonic fans, and he had a whole bunch of fan content on a USB that he often shared with me. Artwork, music, ROM hacks, those lousy MMD videos, everything he could find. After the funeral, his younger brother gave me the USB, probably as a sort of my condolences gift. A few days after, I got onto my computer and scoured the contents of the USB. Most of its contents I was very familiar with. There were a few new ones though, and the executable file included here was one of them. I played through it, and honestly it is beyond me what kind of sick fuck would do this. I've posted this game onto the internet with the hope that someone else recognizes it, and can trace it back to some kind of source. I don't have the balls usually to take legal action, but I'm genuinely considering it if someone else doesn't. I just really don't want anyone to fall for the same trap my brother did. Getting into it, it's just the title screen for the Master System version of Sonic 1, but the Sega copyright is messed up. Pressing X on the keyboard starts a level, Green Hill, without the normal map screen title card. As far as I can tell, no matter how many rings you have or how well you do, you can't access the bonus stage after clearing this level or the next one. Speaking of the next level, that's Act 1 of Bridge Zone. You don't play the rest of Green Hill. I've never played the Master System Sonic, and I don't think I want to. The scariest part of this level is the platforming. Oh, and maybe this fellow. A bit hard to catch, but he's there. While stopped, unlike the previous stage, Sonic's idol has him look at me and laugh. That's not normal. The next stage after this is the last one, and it's just a black void. Here's where I got a bit freaked out. So it's kind of funny. I wasn't wearing my headphones during this game because I was playing it really late at night, and I didn't want to get startled by a loud noise and yelp and wake somebody up. They were lying on the desk in front of me. I tabbed out on reaching this level to write a few notes down about the game. I paused my recording, and a little while into that, I hear a death jingle from my headphones and a crash log appears on my screen saying that something went wrong with a cutscene trigger. Now, I don't know if I've said so before, but the horror I'm most susceptible to is certain kinds of old DOS or 8-bit horror with like pop-up windows and stuff. Like when I feel like the software itself is watching me, even if it's not like an error window can hurt me, it makes me super anxious. I decided that was it for the night when I realized I'd have to replay the levels to get back there, not wanting to make myself more anxious. That might have been the wrong move, because now I was stuck on wondering what the hell even happened for it to crash. My mind was jumping to something having jumped out at Sonic. Or maybe he'd looked directly at the screen and crashed it on purpose out of impatience. Even though hovering over the stalled program didn't show anything like that, not knowing for sure was affecting me a lot more than I like admitting. Probably doesn't help that I still sleep in the same room as my PC. So I was glaring at the powered down monitor from behind the pillows like the stupid mammal was gonna show up on screen at any moment to do something. I don't even know what he could have done, but the mind is strange that way. As soon as I woke up the next day, I went right back in-game to find out what happened, and I felt really stupid when I solved the mystery. What actually happened is I got a time over. That's it. The game timer starts glitching in this level and increasing way faster than normal, so it hits 10 minutes within about 1 real minute. And I guess whatever framework this game uses had the time over death condition removed for this level due to the cutscene trigger further in. I was able to reproduce the crash no problem. But on that cutscene trigger, playing the level for real has Sonic eventually trip and fall, lying on the ground while his eyes slowly begin to bleed and turn black. The background then disappears, and after, there's some very violent flashing which I will not be showing you, coupled with a scream. That lasts about 4 seconds and is followed by a countdown screen. On the screen, Sonic gradually looks more manic the lower the number gets. And when it hits 0, yeah, you can probably guess. After burning your retinas off, the game just closes, and that's it. If you're wondering what that was all about, I'd recommend you check out Toadbup's video on the original story this game is based on, El Pendrive Azul, and its recreation by Vibing Leaf. If you don't want to do that right this second, I'll summarize the first version. A guy receives a pen drive from his distressed-looking friend, who, after giving it to him, freaks out and dies right there. On the pen drive is a Sonic game, but there's weird stuff in it, like Sonic dropping red blocks instead of rings when hit. After Green Hill, the game puts him somewhere with a red background, and the new stage gradually distorts until it begins the violent flashing, which paralyzes him. It then begins the countdown as he is still stuck in place, the Sonic on screen crying blood, and he realizes he needs to escape, since this is what happened to his friend. His struggles to move finally work as the timer hits 2, and when he throws himself to the ground, he hears loud, prolonged screams from the computer before he unplugs it and smashes the pen drive to bits. It's unclear whether this pen drive was a cruel joke or something paranormal. Depicting the story with an 8-bit Sonic game was an interesting and creepy take, but there's not much beyond that, so I don't feel like I can rate this one given the scariest thing about it was when it broke. But maybe next time I download a random EXE game, I should check out the credited creepypasta first. I'm going to sit in a dark room for a bit with my eyes closed. Wow, look at that! I covered more than 3 games this time! Crazy stuff. There were a few other games I played for this video, but I didn't include them all because I either felt like I wouldn't be able to do them justice, or they just didn't have enough gameplay. You know and love Green Mountain, of course, but I also had Dissipated Hedgehog, which had a pretty cool scare at the end, except for when the game almost crashed, loading the jump scare, but otherwise focused more on Sonic's grieving process, which I felt a bit awkward analyzing. I think I'm done with bloody hedgehogs now, though. I had fun with exploring this unfamiliar landscape I've been avoiding like the plague for a while now, but I don't think I've been converted. I'm just not at all into watching my beloved childhood characters, Tails especially, get tortured like this. Interesting as this all was, it wore on me a bit. What can I say? I have a bleeding heart. One that feels guilt for putting them through that for a straight month of writing and editing and all. I want to play something silly now. I've been playing something silly while working on this. It's probably not hard to guess what it is. But on principle, I won't tell you. No, hey, get that off the screen! Geez, spoilers. Now if you'll excuse me, I've got to get back to working on that video for... Well, shit.